Ever feel like parenting is like solving a Rubik's Cube? Well, your child's personality might be just the missing piece that puts it all in place. This week on Calm Connection Parenting, we're unlocking the secrets to your child's behavior by diving into those personality strengths, struggles, and emotional needs. Trust me, it's a game changer. Whether your kiddo is a peacemaker, a plan maker, a rule maker, or a noise maker, you'll discover some aha moments to help make parenting a little more fun and a lot more connected. Welcome to Calm Connection Parenting, where we buckle up for the emotional roller coaster of raising intense and highly sensitive kids and discover some amazing things along the way. I'm your host, Jamie Kirkbride, a mom of 7, parenting coach, professional counselor, and your guide through the wild world of meltdowns, challenging behaviors, and big emotions. If you're exhausted and overwhelmed, feeling like you're always one step away from chaos, searching for a little calm in your day, then you're in the right place. Here, you'll find practical tools and faith-based strategies to transform your family. Together, we'll laugh, we'll learn, and we'll figure out how to turn those messy meltdowns into moments of connection. Let's jump in. Hello, we are back for part 2 of the personality talk. Yes, one of my favorite topics. I want to encourage you, if you haven't already, to be sure to get your personality cheat sheet that I mentioned last time. I really think that when you see these personality quadrants visually, it will help you follow along as we talk about the different traits and different personalities. So you can find your link for the cheat sheet in the show description notes, but just to make it easy, I created you a new resource page. So you can find any resource mentioned here on this page. You'll want to visit calmconnectionparent.com/resource to get your copy. Now, as I mentioned before, as we talk through these personalities, I tend to move from the top left to the top right to the lower right and back to the lower left. So essentially starting at the top left square and moving clockwise. And it helps if you kind of visualize these because the extroverts tend to be on the top. The introverts are the 2 on the bottom. The 2 on the left tend to be the more relationship focused. The 2 on the right tend to be the more task focused. And it's a real quick reference, especially if you're really trying to figure out somebody, to start with those 2 things. All right, a quick review of what we talked about last week. Basically, we covered the playful sanguine, and they may oftentimes be referred to as the noise maker, the powerful choleric, the plan maker, the proper melancholic, the rule maker, and the peaceful phlegmatic, the peacemaker. So I'm guessing after you listened to the verbal and visual clues, you may have had an idea of what your child may be, but you might also be a little stumped. So today we're going to take a look at what are your child's personality strengths. We'll talk about the strengths of each of the personalities and see if it might shed some light on your little creation. It's important to remember that your child does not have to possess every trait that is listed to be that particular personality. We're simply looking for a personality type that most closely resembles your child. So if you were looking at the printed paper, which of those squares do they have the most traits like? And remember, people are typically a combination of 2. And if you're looking at that quadrant on paper, they're typically 2 squares that touch. Those would tend to be more complementary rather than kind of an opposition. All right, getting started. Let's start with that playful sanguine, the noise maker. The playful sanguine has some delightful strengths. They are very social. They're friendly. It's not hard for them to function socially. They make friends easily and quickly when they enter even a new situation. They're talkative. They share openly and they're energized by people. Remember, that's how we think of extroverts, energized by people. They engage others, and that comes naturally to them. They talk quickly, usually loudly, and with the use of a lot of hand gestures or even body movements. Playful sanguines tend to be curious and always in search of the next fun adventure. Rarely are they down. Typically, they bounce back quickly, and you'll most generally find them cheerful and eager. And I like to give each of these personalities kind of their own motto. I think that's a quick way for us to orient to things that matter most to them and almost the things they need. So the playful sanguine's motto would be, I must have some excitement. They need fun. Okay, moving on to the powerful choleric. They are what we would consider the plan maker. The powerful choleric has some amazing strengths. They are very determined and capable. They tend to be natural leaders. They wake in the morning and want to know what the day ahead will look like because they want to do something. It's kind of the child version of being productive. They're looking for the next thing to conquer, and that, of course, puts their daring and energetic nature to work. It's not usually hard for them to find focus on a task and then push to see it through. Powerful choleric children are very competitive, and they usually desire to be the best. It's not hard for them to be assertive and get what they want. They rarely ask for or really even desire help, and they tend to be very self-sufficient. They are as we refer to as the plan maker, and their motto would probably be, I must have some control. The proper melancholic is who we consider as the rule maker. The proper melancholic has strengths that are reserved but effective. They are observant and detail-oriented. They tend to be deep thinkers that are very analytical. Being responsible usually comes easy for them, and they're usually pretty dutiful in completing things the very best they can. They look at every angle, and they try to complete things in usually a perfectionistic way. Even their play tends to be very carefully thought out and executed. Proper melancholic children are oftentimes artistically inclined. They are usually pretty loyal, faithful friends, and they pay close attention to the details and tasks, and that can make them kind of intense and cautious. And, of course, that also helps them think before they speak or do things. They are oftentimes referred to as the rule maker, and their motto would likely be, I must have some order. The peaceful phlegmatic is who we refer to as the peacemaker. The peaceful phlegmatic quietly contributes their strengths. These children are calm and usually pretty laid back. They usually don't require a lot of entertainment and are easily amused. They're pretty agreeable with whatever you ask of them, and they're not typically easily upset by others. Things kind of roll off their back. Being dependable comes pretty natural for them, and you can usually count on them to come through as you would expect. A peaceful phlegmatic child's default setting is usually compliance. And they typically require little discipline. Listening is easy for this child because they would usually rather listen than talk. They make good friends for others, and they usually play well with others as well. They're referred to as the peacemaker, and their motto would likely be, I must have some rest. Now, typically when I teach about the personalities in person, I love to share stories. So when I'm trying to get this done in 30 minutes and keep these podcasts short, it's hard to not stop and storytell, but I just have to stop and tell you about this personality story with our second and third oldest sons. And Carter and Jackson were playing ball downstairs one day, playing basketball, and all of a sudden I heard a lot of frustration and upset. So I went downstairs and I kindly tried to ask, what's going on here? And Carter the Powerful tried to quickly explain that they were playing a game, and Jackson, who was the peaceful, kept quitting, to which Jackson responded, well, I'm too tired. I'm just too tired. So I quickly gave them the reminder that we don't just quit. When we play games with people, we need to give them a warning. So you might say, when you feel like being done, you might say to your friend, I'll play 5 more minutes, or I'll do it 3 more times, but remember, no quitting. Then I went back upstairs and I busied myself, and all of a sudden I realized I wasn't hearing much noise. So I thought maybe I better just go check on how things are going. So I went down the stairs, and here is Carter, the Powerful, happily playing his basketball game. He is running up and down the floor. He's shooting. He is doing all of the game calling, announcing what's happening, even cheering for himself. And here sits Jackson, the Peaceful, just sprawled out, lounging on the chair, watching him. So I was curious about what had happened because it didn't look that different. So I again said, what's going on here? Obviously a little bit confused. Carter the Powerful quickly speaks up. Oh, I'm playing in the basketball game. Jackson got hurt and he's in the hospital. Both needs of the boys were fulfilled, and they each ended up feeling like he got what he wanted. Carter got to play the game. He got to be in charge. Jackson could take a little less active approach to the game, but was perceivably still a piece of the action, even if it was from the hospital injured. So these are creative ways that we can see our child's personality at work. And when we look for their strengths, we can help them problem solve and help them understand their personalities and even their siblings' personalities. So I want us to take a look at the other side of personalities, the struggles. But first, this. Is your child a playful sanguine like Sunny or a peaceful phlegmatic like Pal? The Yuzu makes learning about personality a fun journey for both kids and parents. The Yuzu is an interactive story adventure that helps kids discover their personality through the fun story of 4 zoo monkeys, each with their own unique traits. As a parent, you'll love how this book helps you understand your child's natural strengths and struggles, making parenting more personalized and fun. Ready to uncover your child's personality? Then grab the Yuzu on Amazon and start your adventure today. Now that we've explored the strengths of each personality type, we're back to discuss the struggles. Now, these can be a little bit harder to be objective about, but remember, every personality has struggles. Interestingly enough, they are oftentimes strengths that have been taken to the extreme. For example, a good leader taken too far becomes bossy. A person who's detail-oriented becomes nitpicky or critical. Expressive can easily become overly dramatic, or laid back can become uninvolved. So let's keep this in mind as we dive a little deeper into those potential struggles, some of which you might unfortunately notice in your child. The playful sanguine, that noisemaker, is easily distracted. This can cause problems when they're trying to complete tasks. They can be disorganized both in thought and in action. They tend to get easily bored, and they want the level of activity to stay engaging and entertaining. They don't want to be bored. they can sometimes be prone to tell lies. They easily exaggerate their stories and may fib to thrill their listener, make themselves look good, or simply get attention or a laugh. Playful, sanguine children share just about anything that comes to mind. In fact, I think the phrase too much information, TMI, was surely tagged for them. They express a variety of emotions and rather easily. Others may see that and kind of label them overly dramatic. They tend to be quite extroverted, so their thoughts and feelings are right out in the open, and a lot of times unfiltered. These kids are very trusting of others, and while they may simply appear naive, it could actually be a true matter of safety. They may know no stranger and may be easily lured into an unsafe situation. The powerful choleric child is insistent and headstrong. That's probably what makes them the good plan maker. But they can be easily perceived as others as bossy, as they lead the pack and even make demands without the basic niceties like please and thank you. They forget those often. They're constantly on the move and they have to be reminded to stop and think before you speak or before you act. These kids oftentimes can appear like they're overly confident and might need some help taming what might look like arrogance, when sometimes it's really a cover for not feeling so confident. Powerful cholerics tend to disregard authority and can struggle with showing respect for that authority. And they tend to have a little bit of an argumentative nature, which can kind of get them in some sticky situations. And they may need reminded often that someone else might know more than they do. They can be bold and opinionated, and it can make them appear unsympathetic and sometimes even mean to other people. They may struggle to share, to take turns, or to let others have a say in what they're going to do. And as you can imagine, that can create some real challenges with their friendships. What about the proper melancholic, the rule maker? This child is more of an introvert. As a result, the struggles they have tend to be quieter, but not necessarily any less of an issue. These kids are easily discouraged, and if you should find them looking sad, upset, mad, it is likely that they do not want you to cheer them up. It is hard for them to see the needs of others over their own needs, so they can tend to appear a little bit selfish. Because they give careful attention to the details, they don't typically miss a thing, and it can cause them to be easily disappointed by what they see or hear from others. Proper melancholic children keep careful record of wrongs and details, and that can kind of create this ability in them to become very critical. And when things are not going well, they tend to get a little bit moody. They can be fearful of things not working out perfectly, or a new situation, or maybe just things not being as perfect as they want them to be. And it can really frustrate them. They can look picky and temperamental to those that are trying to deal with them or to even help them. They know how they want things to be, and when it doesn't meet that expectation, it can rock their world. And they can become quite emotional when that happens. What about the peaceful phlegmatic, the peacemaker? A peaceful phlegmatic child is also an introvert, and so, like the proper melancholic, their struggles can be as quiet as they are. But remember, no personality is without struggles. This child may get lost in the shuffle as they don't necessarily keep themselves in the action. They tend to not be real go-getters, and they can try to avoid work if at all possible. They can be hard to motivate and will need frequent rests and breaks. Procrastinating usually comes easy for their unmotivated ways. They tend to be laid back and be perceived as others as uninvolved or disengaged, maybe even uncaring. Peaceful phlegmatics may withhold speaking the truth, if they fear it could cause anyone else upset or discomfort. So they may avoid speaking the truth even when it is important if it keeps someone else from getting into trouble. They struggle making decisions, very indecisive, and as a result, they can be easily manipulated by others around them. Most generally, they're agreeable, but you will know when you hit a nerve as you will detect their quiet will of iron. In our house, we call that the 10th drop in the bucket. In other words, 9 times that it happens, it may not matter to them. But on the 10th, hold on because they might unload. So they tend to kind of bottle things up. Now, I said we were going to talk a little bit about your child's emotional needs and the impact on their behavior. And I think this is so important to understand the emotional needs of each personality. It's crucial to take a look at these because when needs are not met, behaviors or emotions tend to escalate. So a lot of times this is what we address first behind the big emotions or challenging behaviors. The powerful sanguine needs affection, acceptance, and others' approval. A powerful choleric needs control, respect from others, and credit for what they do. A proper melancholic needs space, structure, reassurance, and I think for some, even silence. A peaceful phlegmatic needs rest, support, and understanding. Yes, these emotional needs are so important because they really, truly impact their behavior. Now, most people use behaviors or emotions to voice their emotional needs are not being met, and children are no different. They may act out or become overly emotional when the things that I mentioned aren't being addressed. So when we acknowledge these emotional needs early on, we can oftentimes find calm without much effort. Now, sometimes that goes against every grain in our body because we think if we add to or address what it is that they want, it's only going to add fuel to their fire. But I assure you, if you take the chance to address what that need is, 95% of the time, it actually de-escalates the situation. For example, if you have a powerful choleric child that is acting out while shopping, one simple strategy that might quiet those challenging behaviors would be giving him something that he can appropriately control, something he can be in charge of, or appropriate choices to help make a decision. Maybe it's where to go next, what to do next, if you should buy this or buy that. This alone, this small little trick might be enough to change some behaviors as you are addressing his need for independence and control. But you're not just letting him or his behaviors run the show. You're looking for those appropriate ways that he can do that. On the other hand, you may have a proper child that is getting highly emotional, maybe whining, getting bothered by all the details that aren't going right. Maybe let's pretend for the sake of this that it's at their very own birthday party. Knowing that this personality has the emotional need of space and reassurance, you might choose to offer this child a quick check-in mid-party and even 10-15 minutes away from everybody else in a quiet room by themselves to just refresh and be ready before you open gifts. Because remember, being in the spotlight is not something they prefer. In fact, some children might even appreciate if you let them open their gifts later. This allows them to get their emotional needs met without using excessive moods or emotion to get what they want or need. In a moment, I'm going to share with you why knowing your child's personality really matters. Are your child's emotions and challenging behaviors pushing you to the edge? You're not alone. From constant struggles to emotional outbursts, it's easy to feel like you're just one step away from chaos. But what if I told you there's a better way? In the Calm Connection program, you'll get access to a video course, workbooks, and a supportive community to learn practical, faith-based strategies for handling even the toughest of behaviors. But the best part, you get weekly coaching calls with me, where we can explore your child or family's specific struggles and work together for some solutions. If you're tired of trying methods that just don't work, or you feel like you don't have time to add one more thing to your plate, don't worry. This program was designed to fit into a busy parent's life and give you real solutions with some quick wins too. Ready to take the first step toward a calmer home? Visit calmconnectionparent.com and learn more about the Calm Connection coaching program. You've got this, and I'm here to support you. So you might be wondering, why does knowing your child's personality really matter? Well, let me tell you why. I believe learning your child's personality is foundational to understanding their behavior and emotions, because when you understand personalities, you can know what you might typically expect from their personality style. You can know what might be a potential struggle for them. And when you identify that, you can help them learn and grow through it. You can have a better idea if there is an emotional need that needs to be met. And you can determine if this is something beyond a personality issue. This understanding can provide us with a very solid starting point. It can help us decide if what we see in our child is related to a personality struggle or an emotional need that might be addressed with a particular tool, or if it is something beyond that that might need another type of tool or even intervention, maybe even medical or counseling professionals' help. In my opinion, figuring out your child's personality is the best and most important piece of the puzzle that we put in place to truly understand our child. You might realize that their apparent hyper behavior relates to high energy and need to do things, and that they are understimulated with things that engage them. You might realize that your child is not necessarily depressed, but he does have a personality that tends to focus on the details and needs help not getting stuck in the muck. You may realize that even when you factor in the personality and use those personality tools for emotional needs, that you are still seeing something that is above and beyond and needs further help. Now, you might be wondering at this point, can you change your child's personality? Some of you may be feeling as though you aren't real fond of your child's personality type and wondering if you can change it. Well, there's no reason to do that. There isn't a good personality or a bad personality. Each has their strengths and struggles. Your child's personality is the one God created him with for a special plan and a purpose. Now, while personality traits are relatively stable, children can learn and grow, and our role as parents is not to change who they are, but to nurture their strengths while helping them navigate their struggles. Think of it like looking at one of those mall maps, where you see this you are here square. It helps you figure out where you are and where you want to go, so you can figure out how you're going to get there. That's how personalities function. When we learn about those, it gives us that same orientation. It's about providing our child with the tools and the supports that they might need in order to thrive and grow. Understanding your child's personality also lays the groundwork for effective parenting. It allows us to guide them with better empathy and even awareness, being well informed. And when you take the time to figure out your personality, you can even begin to understand what each of you brings to the table and how it may or may not work so well together. And of course, then you can develop a plan that helps that. So if you haven't ever figured out your personality, I'd encourage you to take time to figure that out too. It truly is an important piece of the puzzle and can often explain differences, stresses, or maybe even the struggles that you feel happening between you and your child. It might be simply a personality difference. And of course, when you know those struggles, you can establish a better approach that can factor in what works for your child's personality and emotional needs as well as your own. Are you looking for a way to figure that out? Well, on the Parenting with Personality app, there are 2 mini courses, one for learning about child personalities and one to learn about the parent personality. So you might check that out when you download the free Parenting with Personality app. And of course, like I mentioned last time and earlier in this segment, don't forget about the Yuzu book, which can be found on Amazon. Now, some of you are going to listen to this and really eat it up. You're going to want to learn more, and I'm so glad. That's why I designed a special course all about understanding your child's personality. It's called Learning the Language of Your Child's Heart. There will be more information in the show description, but you can also visit calmconnectionparent.com/learn the language. Remember, that's the title of that course, Learn the Language. This course will help you understand how your child's personality impacts friend relationships, school and learning, how they respond to discipline, how they relate or get along with siblings or don't, and so much more. So if you want to understand how to help your child grow in their strengths, limit those struggles, grow through them, and address those emotional needs, you can. This course will even help you understand your own personality and how your child's personality works with yours, or maybe how it doesn't. But it will also give you those powerful parenting tips for each specific personality so that you can improve on that. So I want you to know that understanding your child's personality is truly like unlocking a secret code to their world. It gives you the tools to connect on a deeper level and navigate those tricky moments with more ease. Remember, there's no right or wrong personality, just unique strengths and struggles that make your child exactly who God created them to be. So as you go forward, I encourage you to embrace their differences, nurture their gifts, and know that the more you learn about their personality, the more fun, effective, and rewarding parenting can be. And don't forget, if you haven't checked out the Yuzu book or the Parenting with Personality app or the Learning the Language course, now's the perfect time while this is fresh in your brain. These resources are a powerful tool to help you understand and connect with your child. So check those out on the calmconnectionparent.com/resource. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Just remember, you've got this. And on the days you don't, well, we're in this together. Take a deep breath and keep building those heart-to-heart connections. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend who might need it too. And don't forget to connect with us at parentingwithpersonality.com or in our Parenting with Personality Facebook support group. We'd love to continue supporting you there. Until next time, keep calm and parent on.